When Jungkook and Vine returned home, the penthouse looked the same as always. Tall iron gates, guards stationed at every corner, the long marble driveway leading to the massive house that had once felt cold and empty. But something inside it had changed, or rather, someone. Jungkook stepped out of the car first and immediately walked around to open the door for Vine. She raised an eyebrow slightly. Back to your duties, she said. He gave a small shrug. I guess I'm restarting my habits. She stepped out slowly, glancing around the properties. Memories flooded her mind instantly, some painful, some beautiful. But the biggest difference now was a man standing beside her. Jungkook didn't rush ahead like he usually did. Instead, he stayed close, very close, almost as if he was afraid she might disappear if he moved too far away. The staff froze when they saw Vine enter. It had been months since they hadn't seen the lady of the house. Whispers spread quietly. She's back. Vine felt slightly awkward under all the attention, but Jungkook simply placed his hand gently on the lower back and guided her inside. The gesture was subtle but protective, possessive and comforting, and very noticeable. Jimin appeared near the staircase and nearly dropped the tablet in his hand when she saw him. Well, I will be damned, he muttered. Jungkook gave him a warning look. Jimin raised his hands in surrender. Relax, boss. I'm just happy to see her back. Vine smiled politely. Hi, Jimin. Welcome home. Jungkook looked down at her. Hungry? She blinked. What? You haven't eaten since morning? How do you know that? You skipped breakfast. Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. Have you been watching me? Yes. He said it so casually that she didn't know whether to laugh or scold him. Over the next few days, Vine noticed something. Jungkook had changed, not dramatically, not in loud grand ways, but in quiet, consistent ones. He woke up earlier just to have breakfast with her. He cancelled meetings as if he wanted to go somewhere. He answered every phone call quickly just to prove he wouldn't prioritize anyone else over her again, and sometimes he was just plain clingy. The first night back in the house felt strange. Vine stood in the bedroom looking around. Nothing had changed. Her books were still on the shelf. Her perfume bottles were still on the dresser. Even her clothes were exactly where she had left them months ago. She turned to look at Jungkook. You didn't move anything? He leaned against the door frame. Why would I? You thought I would come back? He hesitated, then admitted quietly, I hoped. Something warm spread through her chest. She sat on the edge of the bed. Jungkook walked over slowly, then sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. But he didn't pull her into his arms like he normally would. He waited. Patiently, Vine noticed. You can hug me, she said softly. Relief washed across his face. The next second, his arms wrapped around her tightly, almost desperately. He buried his face in her hair. I missed you, he whispered, and for the first time since returning, she hugged him back. The next morning, Vine woke up and tried to get out of bed, but she couldn't because Jungkook's arms was wrapped firmly around her waist. She tried to move, the grip tightened. Jungkook, no response. Jungkook, a sleepy voice mumbled behind her. 5 more minutes. She turned slightly. You're a mafia boss, yes? You run a criminal empire, yes, and you're refusing to wake up, yes? She sighed. You are impossible. He pulled her closer. You left me for 2 months. So, I'm collecting my lost time. She couldn't help laughing. Even at work, Jungkook's behavior had changed. One afternoon, Vine walked into his office unexpectedly and froze. Jungkook was sitting at his desk surrounded by several men discussing business. The moment he saw her, he stood up instantly. Meeting's over. One of the men blinked. But we just started. It's over. Within seconds, the entire room cleared. Vine folded her arms. You didn't have to do that. He walked toward her. Yes, I did. Why? Because you are more important. Her heart skipped slightly. You don't have to prove it every second. I want to. Then he added with a small smile, and also because I wanted to hug you. Before she could respond, he wrapped his arms around her, right there in the middle of the office. Meanwhile, Ria's life had fallen apart. After Django cut her off, the truth about her manipulation spread quietly through the circle. No one trusted her anymore. Her family was furious, her reputation destroyed. Eventually, she left the city entirely. Jungkook didn't even acknowledge it. When Jimin mentioned her name once, Jungkook simply said, "She is not part of our life anymore," and that was the end of it. No drama, exactly what Vine wanted. Weeks passed peacefully. Vine felt prioritized in every way possible. Loved, safe. Jungkook constantly checked on her. Did you eat? Did you sleep well? Are you tired? One night she finally asked him, "Why are you being so extra?" He looked offended. Extra? Yes, you follow me everywhere. That's because I like being near you. You cancelled 3 meetings today. They were boring. You refused a call from a senator. I like you more. She stared at him. You're ridiculous. He grinned. But you're smiling. She realized he was right. One evening they sat together on the balcony watching the sunset. The city light slowly came alive below them. Jungkook reached for her hand. His voice was quiet. I meant what I said. What? About never making you feel second again? Vine studied him carefully. You said it that before, and I'm seeing the changes too. I know. Silence. Then he added softly, but this time I understand what it means. She squeezed his hand slightly. You are doing well so far. His lips curved into a small smile. Good. Because this time he wasn't just saying the words, he was living them every single day. 1 month later, one evening, Vine sat in the bathroom staring at the small stick in her hand. Her heart was pounding, her mind spinning, because the two pink lines staring back at her meant only one thing. She was pregnant, and Chenguk was about to go crazy. Vine sat on the edge of the bathroom sink staring at the pregnancy test in her hand. Two pink lines. Her heart was beating so fast it almost hurt. She looked at the test again as if it might suddenly change. But the result stayed the same. Pregnant. A strange mix of emotions flooded through her. Shock, excitement, fear, happiness. She placed a hand over her stomach unconsciously. There's a life growing inside me. The thought felt surreal. She let out a shaky laugh. Jungkook was about to panic. Jungkook was in his office downstairs when she walked in. He was speaking to someone on the phone. Yes, move the shipment to tomorrow. He stopped mid-sentence when he saw her standing there. His tone changed immediately. I will call you back. He hung up. What happened? She walked toward him slowly. Why do you assume something happened? You look nervous. She hesitated. How do you feel about kids? His eyebrows lifted slightly. That's a random question. Just answer. Shengo leaned back in his chair thoughtfully. Well, I think kids are loud. She frowned. And they break things. Jungkook. But he continued, a small smile forming. If it's a kid with you, I think I would like it. Her heart melted a little. She placed a test on his desk. What is that? He asked. Look. He picked it up casually, then froze. The color drained from his face. Is this? She nodded slowly. Yes. Silence filled the room. For a moment he just stared at the test like it was the most shocking thing he had ever seen. Then his eyes slowly lifted to her. You're pregnant? Yes. His tears scraped loudly as he stood up. You're pregnant. Yes, Jungkook, you're actually pregnant. She laughed nervously. You're repeating yourself. The next second, he pulled her into his arms, tightly, almost too tightly. You're going to be a mother, he whispered, and you're going to be a father. He pulled back and stared at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. I'm going to be a dad. His voice sounded amazed, then suddenly his expression changed. Serious, extremely serious. You're not doing anything. She blinked. What? You're not walking too much, Jungkook. You're not lifting anything. It's not like I was lifting furniture, and you're definitely not skipping meals. She crossed her arms. You're already being dramatic. He looked offended. A child is growing inside you. Yes, that's not dramatic, that's serious. Within hours, the entire mansion knew, and chaos began. Doctors were called, nutritionists consulted, three different maternity specialists were recommended. Vine sat on the couch watching Jungkook pace around the room, giving orders. She needs vitamins, scheduled checkups, no stress, absolutely no stress. Jimmy leaned toward Vine and whispered, I think he is more pregnant than you. She giggled. Jungkook turned immediately. What's funny? Nothing, she replied innocently. Life changed overnight. Jungkook refused to let her do anything. If she tried to walk downstairs, I will carry you. If you carry me down the stairs, I will divorce you, she threatened. He buzzed. Okay, you can walk. If she tried to cook, no. I have been cooking my whole life. You're pregnant, not disabled. Still no. He replaced the entire kitchen staff with a professional nutrition team. Her meals were monitored carefully, balanced, healthy, and exactly what she wanted, even if it was midnight. One night she mumbled sleepingly, I want strawberries. Jungkook sat up instantly. Strawberries? Yes. In winter? Yes. He grabbed his phone. Within 30 minutes, a driver returned with imported strawberries. Vine stared at him. You're insane. He shrugged. You wanted strawberries? Pregnancy made Jungkook even more clingy than before. He constantly touched her stomach like he was trying to confirm the baby was real. One evening she caught him talking to her. And if anyone ever hurts your mother, I will handle it. Vine leaned against the doorway. You are threatening our unborn child. He looked embarrassed. I wasn't threatening. You literally said I will handle it. He sighed. I'm practicing being a protective father. You're going to scare the baby before it's even born. As months passed, Vine noticed something beautiful. Jungkook had become softer, not weaker but gentler. He talked to her more, listened more, paid attention to small details. If she looked tired, he noticed. If she looked sad, he asked why. If she looked happy, he tried to make it last longer. One night, they lay together in bed, Vine resting against his chest. His hand rested protectively over her stomach. You have changed, she murmured. Oh, really? Ah, stop it. She looked at him. You kept your promise. His eyes softened. I told you I would. One evening during the 6th month, Vine gasped suddenly. Jungkook looked up immediately. What happened? The baby kicked. He froze. What? She grabbed his hand and placed it on his stomach. Wait. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a small moment. Jungkook's eyes widened. That was it? She laughed softly. Yes, that's our baby. Yes. He looked completely stunned, then emotional. I felt it. Yes. He leaned down and kissed her stomach gently. Hi there, he whispered. Vine smiled softly, watching him. Late one night, they sat on the balcony together again, the same place where they had once promised never to make her feel second again. Vine rested comfortably in the chair. Jungkook sat beside her, watching her. You stare a lot. she said. I like looking at you. Why? Because my whole world is carrying my another whole world in you right now. Her heart warmed instantly. You're very cheesy lately. I blame the baby. She laughed, then said softly, I'm happy. He looked at her. Good, because seeing her happy was now his greatest priority. 8 months later, the nursery was ready. The tiny clothes filled the closet. Soft blankets lined the crib. Wine stood in the doorway, admiring it. Jungkook stood behind it, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. Ready? He asked softly. She smiled. Yes. And for the first time in their lives, everything felt peaceful. Years later, Vine's POV. I still remember the night our child was born. It was raining heavily outside. The sound of thunder echoed across the city while Jungkook paced the hospital hallway like a man who had completely forgotten how to breathe. For someone feared by half the criminal world, my husband looked absolutely terrified. Jungkook leaned against the wall watching him with amusement. Boss, you have faced gunfights calmer than this. Jungkook shot him a glare. This is different. How? I can't shoot the pain she's enduring right now. Jimin snorted. You definitely should try. Inside the delivery room, I squeezed the nurse's hand while another contraction hit. My mind kept thinking about Jungkook because when we first married, I never imagined we would end up here, happy, peaceful together, but life had its strange way of correcting mistakes, and Jungkook had spent the last year proving that he deserved a second chance. 3 hours later, a baby's cry filled the room. I burst into tears immediately, not from pain but from relief. The nurse placed a tiny warm bundle in my arms, and suddenly everything in my life felt different. A tiny face looked up at me. Our daughter. When the doctor allowed Jungkook inside, he walked in slowly, almost cautiously, like he was entering sacred ground. His eyes immediately locked on the baby in my arms. That's ours? His voice sounded softer than I have ever heard. Yes, I whispered. He walked closer, and for the first time since I had known him, the mighty John Jungkook looked completely speechless. Can I hold her? He asked quietly. I nodded. The nurse carefully placed the baby in his arms. He looked terrified, like the smallest movement might break her. Jimin peeked through the door and nearly burst out laughing. The boss looks like he is holding a paw. Jungkook ignored him. His entire attention was on the child in his arms. She is so small, he murmured. She is perfect, I said. He looked at me and his eyes were shining. I had only seen him cry once before in my life, the night I almost left him forever. Now he blinked rapidly and whispered to our daughter, Hi, I am your dad. Bringing our daughter home changed everything, and by everything I mean everything. Jungkook had always been protective of me, but with the baby, he became absolutely ridiculous. The entire mansion turned into a fortress. Extra guards, new security systems, even the doctors assigned to us were carefully selected. One evening, I found him staring at the baby monitor like it was a high level surveillance mission. She is sleeping, I said. I know. Then why are you watching her like that? What if she wakes up? You will hear her cry. What if she cries quietly? I stared at him. You have run a mafia empire. Yes, and you're worried about quiet crying? Yes, I laughed. Our daughter stirred slightly on the crib. Jungkook immediately rushed over. See, she moved. She turned her head. She might need something. She is dreaming. He looked unconvinced. You don't know that? But the biggest change wasn't how he treated our daughter, it was how he treated me. Even after the baby was born, he never stopped prioritizing me. Every morning, he checked on me first. Did you sleep? Are you tired? Do you need something? Sometimes I would tease him. You're still clingy. And he would reply without hesitation, "Of course, you're my wife." One night, when our daughter was about 3 months old, I woke up to find Jungkook missing from the bed. I followed the soft light to the nursery and stopped at the doorway. He sat in the rocking chair, holding our daughter against his chest, whispering softly to her, "You're lucky, you know." The baby blinked sleepily. "You got the best mother in the world." My chest tightened hearing that. "Your mom is strong. She's kind, and she forgave me, a very stupid man." I leaned against the door frame quietly, watching them. He continued softly, "I almost lost her once, but I won't make that mistake again." 3 years passed faster than I expected. Our daughters grow into a curious, energetic little girl who adored her father, and Jungkook, he was completely wrapped around her tiny finger. One afternoon, I watched them playing in the garden. She sat on his shoulders, giggling loudly. "Higher," she demanded. "You're already high." He laughed. "Higher?" Jungkook lifted her slightly. "Like this?" "Yes." The most feared man in the underworld, reduced to a playground. Jimin stood beside me, shaking his head. "I can't believe this." "What?" "The boss used to scare grown men." "He still does." "Yes, but now he also builds princess castles." I smiled, because it was true. Jungkook had changed, not his strength, not his power, but his priorities. Sometimes people ask me if I ever regretted giving him another chance, if I was afraid he might fall back into old habits. The answer is simple: no. Because Jungkook didn't just apologize, he changed. Every single day he proved it, in small ways, quiet ways, consistent ways. He never ignored me again, never dismissed my feelings, never made me feel second. Not once, and trust me, if he ever did, our daughter would be probably the first to scold him before I did. One evening tonight, we are sitting on the same balcony where he once promised to change. Our daughter is asleep upstairs. The city lights sparkle below us. Jungkook sits beside me, his arm around my shoulders. "You're smiling," he says. "I'm remembering." "What?" "How different everything is now." He looks thoughtful. "Better different?" "Much better." He squeezed my hand gently. "I told you I would keep my promise." "You did." Silence settles between us, comfortable, peaceful. Then I lean on my head on his shoulder and whisper the truth I didn't realize back then. Sometimes second chances are worth it. He kissed my forehead softly and replies, "I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that my love." And he did, every day and for the rest of our lives.